All right, welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. So, today we are going to be looking at this video, well, this interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. This is the strangest thing. This is not like a regular interview when you are just taking random questions. It looks very prepped, very different. And then she has a running mate right there next to her. But before we get into it, don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, watch the video to the end. Let's get into it.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. The bus tour is well underway here in Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans.
You know, it's going to be very hard for me to get through this. It's going to be very hard. Woo! She said to diminish and lessen the strength. Oh, Lord. Okay, I'm going to try real hard. I'm going to try real hard to listen. Okay, let me go.
Really dividing our nation. And I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be, and I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by a third. We did it in Minnesota. To have a federal partner in this, unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But
She said, you are aware that a lot of Americans are struggling. And see, this is the thing. They're struggling because of the person right here, Kamala Harris. This is the reason why they are struggling. And I just don't see how, I honestly don't see how people could overlook the fact that she is currently in office. I know people haven't forgotten that she's in office, but if you think about it, she's the reason why things are not affordable. This is a crisis. She is in the current administration, and things that like border security and the economy could have already been dealt with. The child tax credit could have been given out already. These are things that she's saying she's going to do, but will it actually get done? And I think we can tell by what's happening right now in order to answer that question. I think we can.
I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years.
I'm glad she said gouging this time, because before she said gauging. I just want to throw that in there.
What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that
So
any
you maintain
longer.
Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some,
Yeah, she did cast the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which, is why we have this inflation that we have right now. And the American Rescue Plan, which didn't rescue anybody because she was a tie-breaking vote on that. And things are the way they are. Now, I will say I do not like CNN. It's not my preferred network. It's not my preferred one, but there are moments when they do well. And I do like these questions. I just don't know if I think that the questions were like already prepped and given, like, these are the questions we're going to ask you, and you got to go study the questions. She looks studied rather than just answering the question. She looks studied and scripted, in my opinion. We're allowed to have opinions. She looks like she's been really studying hard, and it seems scripted. And why is Tim Walz there? When Donald Trump gives an interview or answers questions, he did a town hall. I did a live yesterday on a town hall in Wisconsin, and he stood there and just took various questions. He said he didn't even know it wasn't a rally. He was prepared with a speech, but he just took questions. And he did it in roundtable discussions. He always does interviews. He doesn't have his running mate there. Well, he didn't always have a running mate initially, but he just answers questions, and it doesn't seem scripted. I don't know about you. You all might think that she's coming up with these answers on her own. I don't know. I don't know.
policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Another issue, big one, is immigration. As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
Northern part of Central America.
the northern part
in particular, yeah.
of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill.
You could be for sure that she's not telling the truth right here. Because one thing I've noticed is that the Democrats really never tell the truth. Now, you got lying Republicans too now. I know that. But they just really don't tell the truth. She still waited 3.5 years. At the end of the day, the Biden-Harris administration waited 3.5 years to do anything. And the real reason is because a lot of people believe that they wanted new voters. That's what the belief is, that they wanted to replace certain portions of the population with these other voters and to try and rush them to citizenship so that they can, be voters, is what the belief is.
Border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl, what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've
So you would-
experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to
Not
ask
only
about
push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws. And I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension, the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. As an example, that value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations.
Yeah, we know how California turned out, don't we? San Francisco ruined that. California as well. Democrat policies, honestly, they don't work. And I know she's trying to say what she's going to do. And there's been some improvement with, certain reduction in, crossings and certain reduction in inflation. But at the end of the day, the price is still too high. At the end of the day, we still have too many illegals in the country. At the end of the day, people in America feel like they are the second class citizens to these people who are here illegally. And my opinion, she has been well scripted and versed, and she's answering the hardest of questions. And I do appreciate Dana Bash, bringing about, like, you've already been in office 3.5 years. How can people be sure that you're going to do this? And honestly, you all, only thing we can do is when you have someone running for an office, whether it's the local, state, or federal level, only thing you have is what they've already done. Words are one thing, but we have to look at actions. And I don't know about these actions because so far, everywhere that she's been over something, whether it's San Francisco or California, and now the country, none of those things in each of those steps in her career have turned out well for the people in those jurisdictions. Neither step of the way. She has a track record of, in my opinion, not a good track record. I mean, it's like destructive. I mean, it honestly, in my opinion, seems destructive. It doesn't seem like helpful in any way. So I just am asking people do we want to trust that? Because I've heard this saying, Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. We can't go by what people say. We have to go by what they do, what they've already done.
Violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus, and it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will
Yeah.
you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone
Yes,
in
I
mind?
would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face.
Mhm.
That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn Black recently for political purposes,
Mhm.
questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any?
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Let's talk about some foreign policy.
They're about to talk on foreign policy, but one thing about Donald Trump is he's not polished, but checking back on things, he actually always seemingly tells the truth. That's the scary part. When he says something, you're like, oh, you're just saying that because of whatever. Oh, you're just being a this and a that. But then it always turns out, in my experience, it's always turned out to be true. I'm like, oh my gosh, because she did do that. And even Black people on different social media platforms are saying, yeah, he did tell the truth. She did all of a certain turn Black because she wants our votes. And I did videos with a lot of women saying, I'm not voting for her just because she's supposedly Black and a woman. I'm not doing that. One woman even said, whenever there's someone who seems to be good for us, who they think is good for us, they throw someone Black in our face and we're supposed to vote for them. Wow. That was something said right there, because the good presidents are the ones that they know will be good for the country. They really don't want those to be in office. So just really marinate on that.
Issues that would be on your plate if you become commander in chief. President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha.
Mhm.
We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
And in the meantime,
And we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
but no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region,
I'm sorry. when she said, you have to think about this, the significance. In my mind, I went, the significance of the passage of time. My mind just went there because she said that a lot. When she said significance, I was like, I hope this is not one of those moments. Please don't say this right here, right now. Actually, I don't care if you do. You can just do that. I really don't care. But
A deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8th to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution where Israel is secure and in equal measure, the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity.
well, that was the interview. Yes, very interesting. So you can tell to me, some may have your opinions, but to me it seemed scripted. It seemed like she was very well versed. There was no cackling, laughing, or anything like that. She was serious. And I felt like she would be more prepared because it's all out there in the news. You haven't done an interview, but she is still there with her vice president. I've never seen that before. Maybe it has happened, but I haven't seen it. It seems like one guy said for CNN, I believe, weak sauce. He said it was weak sauce, that they don't trust her enough to have her by herself. Is that true? They don't trust her enough to have her by herself. It's like he was there just to clean up the mess, just in case she doesn't remember her lines. And it looked like she was looking down a lot. And so I don't know if she was reading notes or anything. It looked like she was just looking down a lot. I don't think I saw paper or anything on the table, but yeah, that was the interview. Finally, an interview. And I think I read or saw somewhere where it was like prepared with questions, like these are the questions. And so I got to check into that, Warriors, because yeah, I have to do another interview if I find that out. Yes, I will do another interview because when Donald Trump is out there answering questions, it's just, there's no preparation. This person's asking a question, this one. He does town halls, round tables. He answers questions. There's no pre-prep involved. And if she has to pre-prep, what has she been doing for 3.5 years? That she can't answer questions right off the top of her head. That's scary. We need someone prepared for the real world, okay? This dangerous stage that we are in, on the cusp of all kinds of things happening. Well, you all, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching. Be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors.